Staying on improv, we didn't anticipate this. The dog will be joining us, but we're improvising, ladies and gentlemen. But
Yes.
I'm curious, Corinna, what was your introduction to improv and talk to me a little bit about that and how you became involved in Alibi, which we were also a part of together here in Las Vegas.
Yes. Okay. So the whole improv community, I, as a more dramatic actress that I started getting turned on to, and I loved acting so much. I wanted to put something else in my tool belt. So I always wanted to do Second City. He's so bored with me. I wanted to do Second City, but they left before I could even do it. And then I just wanted to learn all of the improv games, and that was something that I kind of lacked. So I wanted to take an improv class. So, Matt Donnelly that works
Sure.
with Penn from Penn and Teller. So
Mhm.
he had a class and I signed up for his class. He and my friend, uh, oh gosh, Ivan Phillips
Uh-huh.
had created a show and they were just putting it together. It was an improv pub crawl, the one, Alibi.
Mhm.
So that said, it was like my second class, and I think my friend Jennifer and I took the class, and I was loving the class. I'm learning all these improv games. I'm finally getting into the whole improv thing, and that's when I ended up at the Onyx. Was probably within that year or two that I started tapping into the improv community, and then going to different, joining teams and having fun and taking from Natalie and all of that. And he told me, you would be perfect for a couple of these characters. You should come audition.
Mhm.
So I went ahead and auditioned, and I was falling in love with everyone. It was such as yourself, I fell in love with everybody. I did. I thought, I love these people. I think I found my people. Then I ended up in the show and playing, I think it was the inside man initially, and having so much fun. And then I met you there. And then I ended up taking over the show for a few years.
I do recall because I was with it briefly, and you were the inside man, and I was technically, now help remind me, I was the
Yeah,
mastermind.
the mastermind. You
So,
you would play
so
the mastermind.
So
Yes.
if you're watching this and you don't know about Alibi, but I think major cities, throughout the nation, they have a version of this where it's an immersive experience, a pub crawl, as you said, and
Clue solving. It's
yeah,
kind of like an escape room type experience.
exactly. So you were the conclusion of it. I was about midway through when they got served pizza.
Yes.
But it was created, as you said, between Matt and Ivan, and then you and Adrian was a part of it too, because I was in it with her as well, my previous guest on Netflix and Phil. But you said you went on to be involved with it and run it,
Yes.
and this actually speaks to some things that I want to discuss with you about your film and television work, because you're not only an actress and have made appearances. I'll name a few here: Vegas Vacation, Rat Race. You did a local production called Space Captain and Callisto with Ben Stauber. You appear in Gloria Bell with Julianne Moore, which is wonderful. But I want to talk now, if I can, about your film work. And is it true you produced a film called Pitcher and the Pinna?
Yes.
Okay,
The,
now,
the original title was The Road Home, and then they
okay.
repackaged and retitled it.
And was that your first experience producing? Because I know there's gears, as you mentioned, with running Alibi, which is a live event, and then you have a whole motion picture that you're responsible for. What is that like? Not only
Oh.
producing, but also acting in it as well.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Well, it was my first taste of all of it. And of course, I was 27
Mhm.
about when I did a lot of the that helped with production. And when you have an independent film, you're wearing lots of hats. So I'm doing set design, casting. It was a lot of learning, and just I learned with producing that it's a lot of phone calls, it's a lot of connections, it's a lot of brick walls, and either digging under that brick wall or climbing over it somehow, and getting through it, bulldoze through it. And so, yeah, it's a lot of moving parts, a lot of people. So I learned a lot that I still take with me. Now, the one thing that I really want to learn is the market. And I have some friends that are taking lots of films to market. So I'm learning, and I'd like to get back into that. And I have some projects in the works. So, and then wrapping, we're in post on a slasher comedy that I just did. Um, and I'm kind of putting together the music score and getting us through post, and they started on another film, so that's a lot. So my producer hat's about to come back on for that, but in post. I think you can see it on Netflix, Picture and the Pinup. It was on there for a
You
while.
can, and
Kind of rotates out, yeah.
I did see it myself on Prime Video. And again, to speak to the talent that was involved, you had, and I, aside from being a true crime fan, I'm a huge horror film fan, and you
Oh,
had John Saxon playing your father in that movie.
yes. He was wonderful.
Uh,
Oh my gosh. What a legend. And I don't think he did enough work for us to see. But yeah, and he worked with Bruce Lee. He was teaching me things on set. Like there's a time he smacks me and he's like, Bruce Lee taught me that. I'm like, God, from Enter the Dragon, when we were on Enter the Dragon, it's like these are legends, and a lot of young people don't even realize that. But yeah, John Saxon was in our film. And it's funny because I had an acting teacher here in town. I don't know if you remember Gerald Gordon. And apparently he was Adrian Brody's acting coach at one time, or acting teacher. And he had Brad Pitt in class at one time. This is years ago. And then he came to Vegas. And we had a man that we had already cast to play my father in that film. And, we get on set with this guy because they're like, oh, we love him. And he couldn't hit the notes we needed him to hit. It was so bizarre, and it just nothing. He was too young really to be my dad, and
uh,
and we weren't feeling it, and it drew to the director, who's my friend that now works at Paramount for Paramount Pictures. He's always editing all kinds of big things, but he goes, what are we going to do? And I said, I don't know. I'm going to call my acting teacher. I don't know why, because I knew that he would know of an actor in LA, maybe an older actor that would be able to play, my father. And right away, I said, Gerald, I don't know what to do. I said, this guy, we just don't like him. And it's the first day of shooting, and we're already an independent film and just kids making a movie. He goes, well, you have to fire your first actor. You have to fire him. It was awful. I'm like, oh my gosh. I said, I'm not doing it, Drew. You do it.
yeah.
So that's the part of production that. So anyway, we ended up, he said, I think John Saxon would love to do this. That would be something right up his alley. And you look like you could be his daughter. So I was so excited about that. And we made the phone call. And sure enough, his manager read the script and he said, I think he would love to tackle this.
Yeah, and you and he have such great chemistry in it. And I personally, not only plays your father, but he of course plays Nancy's father in the Nightmare on Elm Street series.
Yes, yes, yes. Legendary.
Yeah, and of course
Legendary.
he has a catalog of films that predate that are
Oh
even
yeah.
more exciting. But
Oh, I see him because I'm a TCM fan. Like that, I have it glued on TCM. It's like a master class in film. And
right.
I see him sometimes in the old Westerns, and I'm like, oh, look at how crazy that I got the opportunity to work with him. I geek out on that stuff.
Recently on Instagram, I did follow your journey playing Ruth, I believe it is, in the film Ruthless. And speaking of horror or comedy horror, as you said, tell me about that production and when we might be able to expect it, and your character,
Okay, so with all of that, oh my gosh, well, it's so crazy. As you know, I'm a breast cancer survivor, and I was going through my treatments and getting through that. And I get a call. I was in a film with Trevor Lane. It was his first film, but he had this movie store. So he gets movies, and he's an insane writer. Like the things that he writes, they're like Zombieland outrageous. And I loved it. I'm like, if you had the money for these movies, forget it. It's like over the top. So I played 3 different characters in his first movie just for fun, and I keep my gears turning, right?
Uh-huh.
So then I end up with cancer. I go through my treatments, and he calls me and I'm tired. I mean, honestly, I'm tired. I'm like, oh, I just want to get well. I've been on this kind of health journey that I'm still on, just trying to be halfway normal. And so when he tells me about this movie, he goes, I want you to play the lead. She's a wrestler. She was a wrestler in the 90s. Everybody knew her and blah, blah, blah. And he's telling me about this. And I told him, I'm probably not going to be able to do this. I said, Trevor, I'm so tired. I just want to get well. He goes, no, you could do this. I wrote this and I wrote it for you. And when I said that to my husband, he goes, you know what? You should give this a shot. So I'm like, oh my gosh. So she's this iconic wrestler, but we came up with her whole background. She ended up being Ruth Angel.
Hmm.
um and the working title was Ruthless. And the weird thing is, I think I met the producers of that Ruthless movie that a lot of people we know were just in. I wasn't in that movie, and then all of a sudden we're all connecting through Ruthless, and I'm like, wait a minute. So we changed it because of
I
that
see.
movie.
I see.
We're
Yeah,
like,
because
well, it can't be Ruthless, and
yeah.
it shouldn't be anyways, because it's all about wrestling. It's really an homage to wrestling and the old like glow. I didn't realize that until we really dug into this, and it's so fascinating. I love persona. I love the heel. I've learned so much about wrestling, and I never was into it. Now I love it.
And you're doing now what I think a lot of people need to do to promote their projects, etc. You did a great job of really showing behind the scenes of that production, and I see you in your angel costume with your wings, and I see the special effects, and they're wonderful. And there's one moment on Instagram where you're showing yourself doing stunts for it. So it
Oh
sounds
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. So I'm like just getting well, and here I am, no joke, kicking ass and taking names, and it was hilarious. Fight choreography. I'm murdering people. I
yes.
kill everyone. It's so hilarious, and I have loved it. It really brought me back to life, and I'm grateful to Trevor for that. And then Mark Freed, who's the director, he directed a movie called Shock 'em Dead. And it's like a classic cult. They had some screening of it in LA, and he makes jokes. He's like, really? I can't even believe people like this film. But I think this will be one of his better films, just the way it ended up working out. All of us, the way we danced together. And I'm so excited. I feel like because we still have one more scene to shoot. We still have a ring scene. I'll have to invite you to that. Maybe
I
we'll
will come.
get everybody to come and be like wrestling fans, and we're gonna do the whole thing. But
Yes.
because we still need to get that and then tie up the music and her theme song and all of those things. But I tried to get the good behind the scenes, and they didn't have any contracts saying that I couldn't. But it will be called Vegas Bloodbath. It's all about wrestling, and but then it's funny that here she's like this spiritual narcissist. I mean, she has multiple personality disorder, I'll tell you that. She escapes an insane asylum where all of these horrible things have happened to her in her life, and she dissociates and she becomes Ruth Angel. So, and she's like the avenger of evil.
I'm continuing. I'm wishing you much continued success with it, and I will look forward to it. And I'd be happy to be a background actor for
No, I
your ring
love you.
scene.
We have to work together one day. Are you kidding me? We have
Well,
to
and
work
I
together.
would actually like to conclude with that. I completely admire you, Corinna, and your dedication to the art and craft and your involvement, because I know it's a tough industry.
Oh.
One, and I would love to work with you in some capacity. And before we go, I want you to share where we can find you. Talk briefly again. Tell us about the podcast you're involved with, and also at Corinna Harney on Instagram. How can we find the Bunny Chronicles that you do with Echo?
That's on Spotify. It's on
Okay.
most channels. I think she's been putting full episodes on YouTube,
Okay.
but Buzzsprout, I think most of your podcast platforms, you can find The Bunny Chronicles, and you can also go to thebunnychronicles.com, and we'll be having merch. And I think we already have merch up on there, but yeah, and you could also follow us, the Bunny Chronicles on Instagram, TBC, I think it is, or follow me, Corinna Harney, PMOY, and we'll post things. But We had Mickey Gilly on, a beautiful, longer than an hour. And we didn't even, you try to keep it at an hour. And the kid at the studio was an intern and he didn't press record until the end. Mickey Gilly talking about, like legends.
Well, and you could probably see I'm always looking to make sure we're recording because I don't want to make
It's
that
the
mistake.
worst. It was the worst. And he died before we could reschedule. So thank you. That sucks.
Corinna, well, this has been a delight. And speaking of record, when I turn it off, I do want to talk to you about a project maybe we can collaborate on. But I want to thank you so much for your time and thank LB for joining us.
Oh my gosh, we have to get him and Sahara together.
Yes, we could go for a dog walk or a dog play date. I think that would be wonderful.
Yeah.
So continue to follow Corinna on Instagram and follow her podcast, The Bunny Chronicles. I'm Phil of Netflix and Phil, and we take leave of you now until next time. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.